Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the big rivalries of the last couple of seasons looks set to be renewed, with Shotzzy revealing his perspective on why OpTic dropped Ghosty and now he's on Los Angeles Thieves in this most recent offseason. At the time, the belief was that Dashy and Ghosty simply didn't get along, and for various reasons it was decided Ghosty was going to go. Shotzzy now gives his POV and saying that yeah, what Dashy experienced was similar for Shotzzy as well, despite being the smartest player, very high praise indeed, that Shotzzy's ever played with in-game. But out of game, it was a bit of a nightmare. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty we've got to dive into. Firstly, from Beans, I thought this is interesting to say the very least. That here we are putting down a trophy. And, well, the stun, the nade comes through. The trophy just decides it's his day off and doesn't even bother at all. So he blows up. And later today, we're going to talk about potentially a big update to the game on that as well. Now, Beans also quote tweets this because Game Battles is shutting down. We saw that in January. That's happening. I imagine the CDL are still trying to figure out what the hell do we do with challenges? Because typically challenges is done via Game Battles platform. That's how it tends to work. That's where the pro points, the challenger points, whatever, are dished out. So back on November the 2nd, there was talk that, okay, shortly after launch, there's going to be some updates on challenges. That hasn't really happened. I don't know when the first Challengers event is going to be. Is it going to be massively delayed? Usually it begins before the CDL. It should be starting around about now. But yeah, the Challenger players seemingly have no information on when that's happening, which maybe shouldn't be a massive surprise, but it's still somewhat unfortunate. Now, we're going to talk about Los Angeles Thieves in a second. Couple of scrims to go through though. Firstly, from the Houston Spartans, of course, this is what was formerly known as Team Temp. Now they're under this organization run by Spart. So mum and dad's really cool stuff. They played Boston, and they went 5-3, I believe. So they lost the first two maps. They won the second two pretty emphatically, actually. And then the next couple of maps, they basically played a few of the maps again. And I think it was 5-3 overall. But pretty close maps again in general. Boston are one of these teams that I think they can be pretty good. I think their search is going to be better than their respawn. Give them time, I think they can be a bit of a contender. But yeah, Team Temp's definitely getting great practice in, right? And a lot of teams want to play Temp's team right now to get the decent practice that they're getting in at the moment. Houston Spartans, as they're now known. Now, Los Angeles Thieves, they played Team Asim. And to be honest, of all the scrims I've seen so far, Thieves have shown, I think, very impressive levels on the whole. Even from right at the start, they were looking very good. They played Asim's team yesterday, went 6-2 over these 8 maps we're going to see. So, yeah, 3-1 of these 4. And then of the second 4 they played the final hardpoints. And then they played 2 control maps. So, yeah, I guess they split these two. So, I guess, what, 5-2 over the 7 maps they played in the favor of Los Angeles. But again, Terminal, right? 251-11. That's pretty impressive. And it's funny how often you see this, right? I'll just go full screen on this screenshots because there's a lot of times where players will drop single digits. It's definitely the game more so than it is the teams being bad, but there's going to be lots of 7s, I think, this season because maps like Terminal, if you get bodied and blown out, there just aren't many kills to go around. I mean, the most kills that was on a team was 12 for Krempir, which is, yeah, kind of unheard of. But Thieves, they win this one 5-2. Control, they played High Rise Invasion. Karachi is also a map in the map pool, and I know that most people don't seem to like High Rise massively, but Control in general is a bit of a mess at the moment, to be honest. But speaking of Ghosty, because of course Ghosty's on that Los Angeles Thieves team for the new season, yes, on paper their team is, I think, relatively well constructed. They're looking okay so far. They should be maybe 5th, 6th in that kind of ballpark. But theoretically, the new OpTic, New York, Toronto FaZe, that should be the top 4. That's going to be difficult to breach. But if there's any time to do it, it's probably at the first event of the season. And I'm hoping at least that we still get some good Thieves versus OpTic battles this year. Because Kenny's now joining OpTic. Drazah's going to FaZe. Envoy's going to Toronto. But that Thieves, and Octane's retired, right? But that Thieves team, they had great battles with OpTic the last couple of years. It was always an interesting matchup because online, OpTic tended to be favoured. On LAN, Thieves usually had their number. And of course, you've got the overarching storyline of Nadeshot, you know, formerly on OpTic, the owner over at Thieves. So it's always been a great rivalry, and it would be somewhat unfortunate if Thieves, given their reduced budget and stuff like this, just aren't particularly competitive. Now, on paper, they're not going to be a top 4 team, but I think we can still hopefully expect that Thieves versus OpTic games are very interesting, especially when there are still storylines there, especially with Ghosty, formerly of OpTic, now being not exactly the captain necessarily, but definitely, I imagine, the vocal leader over at that Los Angeles Thieves team, as he was for OpTic before, which potentially caused a bit of friction and a certain amount of issues. So at the time a few months ago when we heard about these rumors that you know, I don't know when they decided that Ghosty was going to go, but I also wonder if they decided that way before the end of the season. Like, it didn't seem like there was ever a chance that Ghosty stays. I think people had expected as soon as the season ended, oh, okay, maybe they're going to keep Ghosty, maybe they won't. That was a bit of a debate that was going around. But as soon as this season ended, OpTic were linked to Drazah, and then they were shortly after that linked to Kenny. So I don't think it was ever really a consideration that OpTic would have kept Ghosty around. And of course, you got to wonder, you know, why would they never consider that? But also, when did they decide? Did they know after Major 5? Did they know before Champs? Like, a Dashy and Shotzzy had a chat and said, yeah, like, you know, we're probably going to move on from Ghosty at the end of the season for whatever reasons. And that obviously affects things going into Champs, right? You're going into the World Championship, and, you know, you already know that you're going to be making a move. Maybe it's not going to make the same results that you could have seen otherwise. But Ghosty, no doubt, did a great job. I know the team still gives him a lot of credit for that. And Shotzzy himself gives Ghosty a lot of credit in what he's about to say. But the rumor a few months ago was that it was like Dashy and Ghosty that really didn't get along. But it seems like it wasn't just, you know, Dashy. Shotzzy as well had his frustrations with the way that Ghosty was acting, especially out of the game. In game, he says, like, when they're actually playing a scrim, no problem at all. One of the smartest players ever, and no doubt improved their gameplay and helped out the SMGs quite dramatically. But the process and the experience with teaming with Ghosty outside of the game was significantly more problematic.
What do we drop, Dan?
Have your window.
Our chem, like, when we would scrimmage shit, it was just like, there was always something in terms of like arguments and shit like that. Honestly, it was outside game stuff for Dan. It was never like in-game stuff. He's checky, and he knows he is. In game, this guy's literally like, I team with this guy over anyone. Outside the game, he is checky as. No, but in game, I will say, I'm not gassing this. He's the smartest pro player I've ever played with. I can say that without a fact. No doubt in my mind, he is harder than this. But I love Dan though. Don't get it twisted. Don't think like twist this shit. Like, oh.
Exceeds only on time.
Behind him.
Deep right, 2 deep right. Side
I was
P2.
aiming at his coaches.
Side P2 right now, 2 of them.
Yeah. I mean, Damon just tells us straight up like, yo, y'all are fucking dog shit. Y'all need to like, yo, literally getting done. Appreciate that they said that today. I think it was against like Donnie's team, our first scrim, or like our third scrim. I mean, I was.
They're all just preeming. They're all preeming.
He was like, yo, y'all are shooting back. I was like, damn. I clicked the scoreboard. I think it was 10:30 or something.
So nice to see Shotzzy giving Ghosty an awful lot of credit, but at the same time, it didn't seem like there was, you know, ever any doubt from OpTic's side that they were going to be making this move, and maybe you can see why. If you've watched Ghosty's stream and stuff like this, I know that it was a big talking point last season, especially when the rumors were going around that Dashy and Ghosty had not exactly a falling out, but they didn't exactly see eye to eye necessarily. There were people talking about, oh, well, Ghosty, whenever you watch him on stream, he constantly, if he gets killed, he's complaining about he got joked, or he, you know, the guy's lagging, or he's lagging, or the host is bad, or something like this anyway, some sort of excuse or whatever. And this was the rumor that was going around at the time and after the season, that Ghosty was just a bit difficult to team with in certain ways. Could be a great player, which he no doubt is, and potentially a great leader, but OpTic were, you know, not happy with that. But I think it's interesting that people, you know, would have said, oh, it's Dashy and Ghosty, that was the friction, and Dashy always another person that Dashy doesn't get on with. But clearly Shotzzy felt the same way that, you know, Dashy did as well on this one. And yeah, I mean, when he says he's a bit checky, I thought it was like a funny comment, right? I know people were joking around that, oh, well, Ghosty, obviously, given he's obviously a smart guy, used too many long words for Shotzzy and Dashy to use, so it was checking their dope. So I think what he means by checky is, well, I put it in the thumbnail, didn't I? That he checks out the other players, you know what I mean? So not check it out as in like that type of check it out, but what we say in the COD lingo, check it out, where activities are reducing dopamine levels of the players. Like, I don't even know how to explain this stupid lingo, but I guess that's what Shotzy's getting at there with saying that he's a bit too checky. I mean, like, who even knows anymore? But I wonder what Ghosty thinks about this side of the story as well. But I think it's interesting to hear Shotzy's point of view, that he was seemingly very much aligned with Dashy on exactly what was happening and the decisions they decided to make. It's interesting, right? Because in terms of pure ability, how does Ghosty compare to Kenny? How does Ghosty compare to Drazah? There's a question there, but, you know, clearly the belief is that Kenny will be a better player for the team, potentially in, but certainly out of the game as well. And also just the credit that Shotzzy gave Ghosty on being a very smart player, because, you know, let's not forget here, Shotzi's teamed with Scump, he's teamed with Clay, he's teamed with Crib, some of the absolute greatest ever. But he says that of all the players he's played with, Ghosty, a rookie, was basically the smartest, which is, you know, very impressive, but at the same time, they didn't keep him, right, for various reasons, and now maybe he can execute that to some extent over on the Los Angeles Thieves for the new season. He had a good day of 8 a few days ago. Yesterday, not quite so much. The other thing I did share for you guys there was this clip, though, with, well, of OpTic Karma, where Shotzzy also talked about the frustrations that Karma was having with their practice performance. Here's Dashy hitting some nice shots here in, I guess, a series of 8 or something, probably BPL or something like that anyway. But, yeah, what do you guys think about this? So Karma, like, he's putting it all on the table, you know, he's not messing around. If he thinks that they're messing up and taking it not so serious or just playing poorly in general, Karma will call them out on it. So good to see that he's there, because last season, at least at the start of the year, there were questions as to whether, like, you know, would Karma come in? And also, when Karma was in as a coach, would he be there all the time? Was he just going to step in for some scrims? That's kind of the initial point that Karma put across. Was like, yeah, well, I'll be there a little bit. I'll come in for some scrims. I'll just sit in. I don't want to disrupt the momentum too much of the team. But now he's the full-time coach. He's there every single day, and he's calling the boys out when they're playing poorly, which I think is good for OpTic, right? Because, you know, I think they've always needed someone to hold them more accountable than is presently the case. When there's no coach in play, or when the coach is just, you know, an analyst. Okay, JP Krez, a lot of respect I'm sure the guys have for him, but he's not a 3-time world champion, you know. And, you know, if the players think they're right on something and JP says, well, I'm not so sure, here are the stats on it, then if Karma says, no, guys, you're wrong, like, they're going to listen to Karma. And that's the benefit, I think, is often what will happen is at some point in the season, OpTic will look very good. They're crushing it online. They're looking like they're going to win the next event. They're going in as the favourites or something like that. And then either something goes wrong, or they're just, you know, maybe they're slacking off in practice. They're not giving it 100%. Some of the rumours as to what might have happened with OpTic last season as well. And Karma clearly isn't going to stand for any of that. And he's probably going to hold these guys accountable. And I think this could be a very crucial thing for OpTic, because I've still always felt that really ever since Crim6 left, really going into the franchise era, there's not been that on OpTic, really. Now they've got Kenny, who I'm sure is going to do some of that, but they've got Karma as well as the coach. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to get away with, you know, slacking off or not playing as well, or especially if they look particularly good. The fans are giving them all the gas, you know, they're feeling like the favourites, they're going to win everything, and then all of a sudden they start not taking practice so seriously. That's happened so many times before. I don't think Karma is going to necessarily let that slide. But very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Nah, tuna sandwich is actually pretty healthy. I've never had tuna in my entire life.
I literally open the like little can that it comes in, and then I sip the tuna juice.
Bro, that is foul. You should go to jail for that.
I like get real weird with it.
I dead ass, bro. I don't know how anybody opens a can of tuna and smells it and thinks to themselves, I'm gonna eat this, dude, right now.
See, I take it a step further, and I say I'm gonna drink this water that this thing just came in.
You legitimately might deserve a prison sentence.
Like, you know the Vienna sausages?
Yeah.
I'm drinking that weenie water all day.
Yo, are you trolling right now on that?
I'm sipping that shit.
Brother, the two things that you just said to me might be the most disgusting things I've ever heard.
And then I give Buzz a little sip.
Yeah, you guys sipping from the same straw?